Hello everybody and welcome back to the English shooting live stream at another new time, 8:30. So yes, this will be the new time going forward. I think 9:30, which we did last week, was a little too late, and as I've explained, 7:30 is just a little tight on some days. So yeah, this will be the normal regular time, especially with the lighter evenings that we're now having. I think it works really well. So yes, welcome back to all you regulars. For anybody new watching the stream, then this is your chance to get involved, have your say, discuss things, ask questions, raise topics that you want maybe other people's input on. If you want to know about, maybe some gun advice, some ammunition advice, some range advice, or just getting into this sport. That's what we're all about. And on that note, because we're all about getting people into this sport, then hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed. It really does help with the YouTube analytics. It helps grow the channel, reach new people, and share this wonderful sport. And of course, as I've just said, there is a chat box, so please, don't be scared, don't be shy. I don't bite unless you ask nicely. But yeah, more importantly, hit that like button. So actually quite a lot going on at the moment within the shooting world. Of course, there is still this lead issue that we're experiencing. There's not really an update on that, so whilst we could probably talk again about it, I'm sure there may be even some questions. Please feel free to ask if there's anything you're unsure about. There's no real updates. Bass seem to be putting out recipes for all sorts of game dishes and stuff like that, so God knows what's actually going on, but they're obviously eating well, hopefully lead-free meat. But yeah, there's been some other stuff talking about game. We've got this epidemic within the game industry with the birds. Most of the birds are brought over from overseas, mainly from Europe, from France, and with the bird flu that's going around, it's really threatening this coming season's this coming game season. Of course, whilst the game season is during sort of the autumn and winter months, the preparation starts months and months in advance, where they lay the birds. They normally buy them in from chicks, and then they will rear those chicks, and then you get fully fledged pheasants and partridge and whatever other game you want to shoot. So that sort of deadline of getting the birds over here to start growing them is fast approaching for most shoots. And for those of you that don't know, there's a big problem with bird flu and stuff like that. So whilst we are a sporting channel, we will be talking a little bit about that later on, because it does affect the entirety of the shooting industry. Something that also affects the whole of the industry is ammo. We all need ammo to be able to shoot it. That's sort of a prerequisite of shooting sports, and ammo has been getting harder and harder to get hold of. And what we are seeing now to compound this issue is massive increases in prices. Some of you may have already clocked it, but we've recently stocked up on ammunition, and it's not by a small amount. So I'm going to be talking about that, where that's come from, what the effects, and whether things are going to get better in the future. Something maybe not so sporting, but firearm related in a sense. So within the police, there are many different levels of police officers, including special constables, which are volunteers. They have the same powers as police, but up until now they haven't been able to carry tasers. Quite famously, I think Priti Patel came out and said that all police officers would have the option to carry tasers, but this didn't extend to these special constables, these volunteer police officers, and they've now said that all volunteer police officers will also have access to tasers. So we're going to be talking about maybe the pros and cons of that, and maybe some of the hypocritical nature of doing that, but we'll get on to that later. Of course, the main topic tonight, which we'll get on to in a sec, is gun surrenders. Won't talk about that too much now, because obviously we're going to get onto that in a second. High Point. If you want some Class A memeage, head over to the High Point Firearm page. I don't know what's necessarily going on with it, but I think they did have a page and maybe shut it down or weren't using it. But if you go on their page, like the first post on their page was like the 14th of May, and they have absolutely been smashing it. The memes and posts coming out of that page, like either they need to fire their social media marketing person, or they need to give them a massive raise, because they are not pulling any punches when it comes to calling out other firearms manufacturers. It is quite funny. So we're going to look at some of my personal highlights of those posts. And there was a big level 3 mini rifle match this weekend in Basildon. We're going to talk a bit about that. Of course, you guys will know I'm big into my practical shooting, big into IPSC shooting. The match didn't go so well for me, and I will get on to that a bit later. But yes, gun surrenders or gun amnesty, the main topic for this evening. Now, I do just want to lay out that I have absolutely no issue at all with gun amnesties or the police encouraging or facilitating people to surrender firearms that are in possession illegally, or even firearms that are legally held but people no longer want. I would always say take it to a gun shop, sell it and get some money for it. Obviously some guns don't always fetch money on the second-hand market, like the Chris Vector, or the Mossberg JM Pro 940, but some of those you might just want to give to the police and not get charged with the disposal fee. But they're doing a big campaign at the moment, a nationwide firearms amnesty, where you can walk in to any of the select police stations. I don't think it's all police stations, but there are a number of them nationwide, that you can just take in any ammunition or any firearms whatsoever, no questions asked, and surrender them. And what the police always do with this is, make it sound like there's a big impact on gun crime, or, look at how many guns we've taken off the street that were going to be used in crime, and look how many lives we have potentially saved. So I wanted to get into the nitty gritty of it, because I think there's a lot more that sort of meets the eye about this amnesty, or about this, this opportunity to surrender. Now, first off, if you are in possession of a gun that you want to get rid of, you don't need to wait for an amnesty. And I do find it odd that the police seem to make it, like this box period of now you can get rid of your illegal guns and we won't screw you for it. You can take any gun to a firearms dealer, a registered firearms dealer, and surrender. Now, of course, if you've got a Glock 9mm that's off license and you're walking into a gun shop, I'm sure the police are maybe going to look at CCTV, maybe going to try and follow up. But the firearms dealer is not going to take any immediate action against you, and it's part of their duty to take that gun in and then surrender it themselves to the police. So I would stress that outside of these amnesties, if you need to get rid of a gun, you can take it to any gun shop, any licensed RFD gun shop across the country, and surrender it. And I do always ask why, again, they seem to have these specific dates. If these amnesties are so effective of removing guns off the street, taking them out of criminals' hands, then why don't you have a permanent structure in place to allow people to surrender firearms? And I think the crux of it, and I know a few of you have been going, well, it's not very hard to answer, because the criminals that want the guns and are going to commit crime with them are not suddenly just going to hand them in. They want them, they have albeit an illegal use, but they have a use for it. Why, it's like a plumber just on the way to a job, just popping off at a charity shop and, giving all his tools to a charity shop, and again, two ends of the spectrum there. One's a very legal profession, one's a very illegal profession, but I don't get why it's going to attract criminals that are going to use these guns in a legal way, in dangerous ways, put people's lives in risk through robbery, or even say gang hits or gang wars. Why they're just suddenly gonna, I can go and hand this into the police station, I'll go hand it in. It's probably cost them a lot of money. It's probably been very, very hard for them to obtain that gun, and if that gun has been used and you hand it into the police, then all of the forensics can be taken off of that gun, this, that, and the other. What I think this is more aimed at, and what I would assume is the largest proportion of gun surrender, are the attic finds, are the people that, you know, their granddad or you know, parents or whatever had war trophies. You know, they've gone to clear out the attic, they've found a gun, they've panicked, they've gone, oh shit, what do I do with this? I'll just leave it as it were, and I'll wait. And then they see an amnesty and they think, right, now's the time to go and surrender that gun. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be no backlash from it. I'm going to get into no problems. So it does allow illegal guns in that sense to be surrendered. But in those cases, are those guns actually immediately a risk to people? Are those the sort of guns that criminals are breaking into people's houses for, or smuggling across Europe to make use of criminally? Are they the ones going up into the attics and removing these guns? I very highly doubt it. Of course, it does in some way stem a flow. If these guns do fall into the wrong hands from that attic, you know, little, you know, Granny May has her front yard sale and puts out a Webley on the front of it and doesn't think anything of it, and, you know, Mr. Shady Bob from the pub sees a gun there and goes, oh, fuck, I'll get that for 50 quid. You know, in those sorts of weird scenarios, then yes, that gun could fall into the wrong hands. I think the likelihood of it is very, very small. So what are they preventing here? And moreover, looking at the previous numbers, I mean, don't get me wrong, the amount of guns that they have surrendered is absolutely huge. And I was trying to look at previous amnesties to see the sort of numbers that do get surrendered, and there's an interesting correlation which leads me to my main point about this amnesty. And yes, if you weren't sick of it already, it will be about the Mars and Lever release. So I've got a previous stats from firearms and ammunition handed in during the firearms amnesty 2003. The numbers are pretty incredible. So for the total of Great Britain, there were over 1 million rounds of ammunition, and also nearly 44,000 guns handed in. And the other issue that I have with these amnesties, and I'll get onto a fairly comical video in a second, is that usually they don't break down or discriminate what the gun is. So you get a lot of people showing airsoft guns, air guns, going, look at these dangerous weapons. Well, this is one of the only ones that I have seen that they actually break down, you know, not just the type of gun, but whether it is a prohibited rifle or it's a non-prohibited rifle. And it even breaks down the ammunition. So incredibly interesting. Now, you know, I didn't have a chance to look before the stream, but, well, so non-prohibited guns, there were 37,000. So this is, again, another point. They like to say 44,000, let's say back then that 44,000 guns were surrendered. Well, yeah, 37,000 of those were actually non-prohibited, like anybody could have owned them. Still, 6,500 guns that are prohibited were handed in. And once again, the top of the leaderboard when it comes to illegal firearms, it's handguns. So the heading for this one, as you can see, handguns. I mean, fully automatic, like nothing, absolutely nothing. Handguns. The pretty much, what does that make up? Like a good 90%. 90% of the guns handed in were handguns. Now, criminally, that isn't. 40% of all offences are committed with handguns. So maybe statistically, that's slightly different. But handguns always are the largest majority linked to crime. But then you've got to think about the date and how close it was to handguns being restricted here in the UK. And what smacks, and this is purely speculation, but what completely smacks of it to me, of these figures, is that the reason there are so many, a disproportionate amount of handguns compared to pretty much anything else prohibited, even, you know, does sort of stack up against other non-prohibited firearms as well, but not in totality. was this runoff from the handgun ban? Was this guns that either people had missed the hand-in date and thought, shit, now I'm in possession of an illegal firearm, and stashed it away? Or were these people that the police missed, that the police didn't have on their record, that didn't send them a notification, people that were completely oblivious to the banning of handguns? And then you think about the timing of this amnesty, quite recently after the banning of Mars and lever release, and we've been over it many times. The police pretty much admitted they had no idea how many were out there, who had them, and if that is the case, how can they guarantee that every single one of those Mars or lever release owners were aware of this ban? You know, they might be now, and again, potentially like people back during the handgun ban, they've got this gun that they don't know what to do with. If they go and phone up their FEO and go, oh look, actually I've still got this gun, they could lose their certificates. I mean, they could lose their certificates, like, in the best scenario. They technically could go to prison for a minimum of 5 years. So maybe the police have finally got some sort of tally, or have finally clicked and gone, there probably is still quite a lot of people with these guns out there fretting. We don't know who they are. We can't go and go and search them, or even contact them to tell them to surrender them. Why don't we just do an amnesty and push it out into the firearms industry? Of course, this was something we covered last week. Phil Sports Britain did a quite big piece on it, so it's getting pushed out there into the lawful shooting community. And maybe there are going to be people that are still in possession of Mars and lever releases, see this amnesty and take it as an opportunity to finally surrender their guns. Of course, bad luck to them, because they missed out on the compensation, and the compensation wasn't actually that bad. Actually, there's a lot of people that made some money out of the compensation for once. So that's the feeling I get with this. I really don't see the amnesties reducing crime. I really don't see the firearms being surrendered coming from a criminal nature. Or the most of them aren't coming from a criminal nature. These are people with, the heirlooms, with the war trophies, with guns that are now prohibited, that when they had them previously weren't. So yeah, I think this is a last sort of get out of jail free card for anybody with the Mars or lever release, and maybe even a little bit of an admission of the police going, yeah, please hand them in, please, promise we won't bollock you. It's completely untraceable. Just come and give us the guns, and we can all put this to bed. Maybe I should wait until the amnesty is finished to put in a freedom of information request to find out if any Mars or lever releases were handed in. That would be incredibly interesting to see. But also on this amnesty, and something that, whilst again I'm supportive of the idea, whilst I think it's good to give the opportunity to get these illegal firearms out of people's hands, they don't do themselves any favors, because really it's a big marketing push. It's a big, look at us, look at what we're doing, aren't we great? Look at all these guns that we've got that can't be out there hurting people. Aren't we absolutely brilliant? Fair play. You want to do that, you want to market it, but if you want to market it, at least know your stuff, and at least don't diminish the validity of it by parading airsoft guns and air guns. So I found this video on it's actually the Hampshire Constabulary's YouTube page, and it's about this firearm surrender, which is running from the 12th to the 28th of May 2022, if you're watching this in the future. Do we have flying cars yet? So I saw this video pop up, and I thought, well, hang about. We talked about the firearm surrender last week. I'll give this a little watch. And it just, for me, gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So, gun number one, oh my god, it's a scary pistol. Other than the fact that it's an airsoft pistol. Now, there's some variation. Well, first of all, you can't see it in this clip here, but it is threaded, just like the airsoft pistol. And for comparison, there's a real 9mm. So you can see there's, it looks like a serial number or some sort of marking there that isn't on the Airsoft. There's also 2 pins on the Airsoft version that isn't there, and various features on the slide that are missing. So those are the 2 pins, missing feature. So they're parading around an Airsoft like at least, like, you must have some interesting stuff, right? You must have some interesting stuff hidden away in the evidence room. Go and get the spicy stuff, right? If it's really about fear and showing criminals that people are handing in their Mac 10s and, you know, their Glock 19s and stuff like that, at least go and get a Mac 10 and a Glock 19. Like, that's gonna at least encourage them to some degree. But parading around an Airsoft gun saying, look what was handed in here. Well, first of all, the criminal's just going to laugh at that, because it's like, well, I don't have an Airsoft gun, so I'll keep hold of my 9mm, thank you very much. And also, it's like, well, hang on a minute. If these are the only guns that you've got to really show us, are these the guns that are being surrendered? Because this is a gun, for all intents and purposes, that anybody that is not a prohibited person can possess legally. At any point, just need to be over the age of 18 to go and buy one. So you think, okay, well, all right, one snuck in there, right? So we're carry on going through the video. What in the hell even is that, right? I mean, Captain Jack Sparrow is called. He wants his handgun back. I'm not even sure that's in any way a viable firearm. It looks very plasticky. I mean, I can't really see or confirm. It looks like it's maybe even a solid. It's blocked at the end and it's a solid tube. It looks more like a theatre prop or some sort of ornament rather than an actual real firearm. And again, you imagine some hard-nosed county line gang kingpin watching this video, getting slightly tempted to hand in their firearms, and then they start saying shit like this. Like, what? How is that ever going to encourage a criminal to actually hand in their guns? But wait, there's more. We move on to the next gun. I don't know when it's going to pop up. Okay, so straight away, any proficient shooters will cringe at the handling of this, because obviously you pick up a gun with your finger, not even in the trigger guard, but on the trigger. Like, you know, safe firearms handling 101, what the fuck is that trigger finger doing? And then this sort of took me a while. It probably took me longer than I would like to admit. But I'm looking at that, and to be honest, it was the scope that gave it away first off. I'm like, you know, an AI stock with an Amazon special scope. I'm like, even if that's a Remy 700, you're talking a good couple of thousand, 1,500 quid to a couple of £1,000 worth. Somebody is not going to put an Amazon special scope on that gun. And then you see the bolt and you go, no, actually, that's meant to be an Accuracy International. So you're talking, £4,000 or £5,000 worth. It's not going to have that scope. And again, what took me longer than I would like to admit is the bolt is back, but where's the chamber? So they're parading, once again, this evil-looking, scary-looking sniper rifle, and it's an airsoft gun. Yeah, you Mr. Kingpin drug lord. Don't think he's going to be giving this much credibility, if you ask me. Let's proceed, because there's more. Oh, you got the scary total shot, right? So airsoft gun, legal shotgun, right? That's not what a criminal is going to go around with, right? That is somebody that wanted to give up their guns, or a shooter that's passed away and their family didn't know what to do, so they've handed it in or whatever, right? But perfectly legal to own. So you've got a legal gun, you've got an air rifle, legal gun. You've got, I don't know, I can't say 100% because it's going to depend on the power, but it looks like a Springer air pistol, so most likely legal. I mean, Alec Baldwin wants his revolver back, but you know, so that's probably the most dangerous gun there on the table in the hands of Alec Baldwin. But again, looks far more toy-like or prop-like than actual real firearm. And again, is that the sort of thing that a criminal's going to be rolling around with? I highly doubt it. Is that Jack Sparrow's pistol again? Yeah, it might be. So yeah, and then this looked the most real, but it's got a blue top to it. So I'm thinking either blank firer, airsoft, BB gun. So okay, I can't be 100%, but I'm reasonably fucking sure that every single one of these guns on this table is legal to own, is legal to possess. The only one that I'm aware of that requires a license, a shotgun certificate, is of course the over and under shotgun. So again, what, like, are these the sorts of things that criminals are going after? I really don't think. If these are the guns that are being handed in, what real danger do they pose? Because again, all right, the over and under shotgun you don't really want out there in the wild without, you know, a certificate and all of that, but it can be, with the right certificate, be bought legally. So what has this achieved? And it just, to me, diminishes the effectiveness of this sort of advertisement or media. Like, again, go and get the spicy stuff. Now, to be fair, this is a clip from the main launch of this firearm surrender, and there is some real tasty stuff on there. You've got the sawn off, a very short shotgun there, real handgun, stuff like that. But this was Nabis, right? Nabis does have a whole bloody museum of this stuff. Were these guns that were surrendered, or these guns that were recovered from crime? We don't know. I think this is a far better image. This is a far more effective image for the police to be using, far more encouraging to criminals to say, look, you guys do surrender your guns to us at some point, so, you know, make it you. But then we get back to this, like yeah, nice try, Hampshire, but like really. And then the last thing for me was the ammunition. Now I can't quite make out what's up here, but it does look like Section 1 rifle ammunition, but then Section 2 shotgun ammunition, which anybody without a certificate can be in possession of and own, right? So it's like, again, more legal ammunition. So it just, yeah, I would like to see. I don't think there was anything more. No, that was literally it. It just sort of makes it a little bit of a laughing stock, which is a shame, because, you know, once again, like, I don't disagree with the idea. I think it's good to have this encouragement to get these illegal guns off of the street. But when I think they fail so hard with media and, you know, videos and pictures like this, it's like, oh, what's the bloody point, you know? And then it starts the paranoia of the legal shooting community, which is like, well, those are all legal guns, so are you just taking legal guns off of people? Like, it just starts all of that again. So yeah, does firearms amnesty stop crime? Well, people aren't going out there committing crime with a bloody airsoft accuracy international rifle, are they? Like, let's be honest about this. And I found another article looking through stats and whatnot of previous amnesties. I had a bit of deja vu with this. I think I've shown this on the channel before at some point, but it's just too funny not to show again. So, AK-47 and Uzi among more than 200 firearms handed in during police amnesty. And you think, AK-47 and Uzi, okay, that's probably stuff that you should have off the streets. You don't want people running around with those. Apart from the fact that, well, first of all, the quote underneath, if you get one of these pointed at you, you wouldn't know if it was a replica or a real firearm. Well, why are you saying that? Because actually, some of these are live firing replicas and antiques. I'm really pleased with the response. And I can't find the specific clip or thing. Oh, here we go. More than 200 firearms have been handed into police during a 2-week amnesty. They include an AK-47 and an Uzi submachine gun. both are deactivated. So it's like, once again, something about nothing. Like, guns that aren't viable, that really aren't that scary. It's like that story where the police turned up to recover a deactivated AK, and it's like, yeah, okay, if you don't know what it is, if you think it's a real gun, of course the police should go there, check it out, and make sure. Of course they should. But again, parading things like this that are deactivated, it's just going to make the police laughing stock amongst the criminals that are trying to attract. The people that are genuinely dangerous with these guns. It's just not going to be as effective, is it? But yes, that's my thought on the firearms amnesty. Again, if you are in possession of an illegal firearm, get rid of it. Like, certainly, I think we talked about this last week. Certainly, if you are within the shooting community, if you are pursuing to get a firearm certificate or shotgun certificate, or you even hold one, holding an illegal firearm is just a fucking shit idea, right? People may disagree with not being able to have handguns for sporting use or semi-bore, centerfire, semi-auto rifles. Holding on to them or obtaining them because you disagree with the law is going to do nothing to getting them back. It's actually going to hurt us quite significantly. So yeah, but anyway, let me know what you guys think, and let's have a quick look through the comments. Just have to say a big hello to my #1 fan. My mum did tune in. I don't know if she's watching now, but hello, thank you for joining. Hope you hit that like button. I'll be having words if not. Ruan, if an amnesty removes just one weapon for circulation that would have otherwise gone on to be used in an unlawful kill/maim, to be used unlawfully, kill/maim someone, then in my book it's a success. I'm an FAC holder and a former cop. Absolutely. I think you've summarized what I was saying about in terms of supporting the amnesty. Like, absolutely. If I don't think they should stop doing them. I think the overarching thing is they should probably market them a little better, or Hampshire should market it a little better. What really grates me is it's the procession of these airsoft guns, these effective toys that they are trying to big up as something else. That's what I think I have more of an issue with. Yes, if amnesties, if they are taking guns off the street, then yeah, you can say they're a success. Are they though? Are they stopping crime? Are they preventing that? I don't know. That's something that's very rarely talked about with these amnesties. Is they talk about the number of guns, and they talk about that as the success, even though the majority of them are legal guns. But they never talk about where those guns have come from. It would be interesting to see if any guns that are linked to crimes are ever handed in with amnesties. So that sort of thing, I think, would give it more credibility if they could come back and said, actually, out of the back of an amnesty, we've been able to solve all of these crimes. But then again, the criminals aren't going to want to hand in their guns for that purpose. So yeah, again, I don't disagree with them, and I like you, if it does prevent somebody getting killed, then they should be doing more. But again, why don't they have full-time amnesties? Callum95, new live start time at 8:30 now. Yep, that is now the new time. Michael, got my FAC visit next month. Excited and nervous. Well, congratulations. You're now one step further to becoming a firearms owner. Nothing to be nervous about. FEOs are pretty solid people. It's, at the end of the day, just a job for them. Just don't say anything stupid. Now you're going, oh my God, but what can I say that's stupid? You be yourself, offer them tea, offer them coffee, offer them biscuits, and, just give the house a tidy. But yeah, just explain what your interest in firearms is. of course, you know, why you want the guns, your club, your experience, stuff like that, and I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. Urban Space Monkey, the Actionair intro you went to was amazing, great to hear. For those of you that don't know, or maybe wants to start getting into IPSC practical shooting, but, you know, maybe live fire guns are a bit out of reach for whatever reason, then have a look at Actionair. Actionair is a great gateway and a great standalone sport on itself, or on its own, within IPSC. So glad to hear that you enjoyed that. And there's actually a level 3 match coming up very, very soon in for Actionair. I'll be shooting it, so there will be a video on the channel of that. So I'm shooting it and filming it. So yeah, you'll get to see a little bit more about that. I really should show more Actionair, and I should potentially even shoot some more Actionair. Stephen, still waiting for your GP to get back to me. It's been 3.5 weeks now. I hope you're not paying for that sort of service. You know, it's like, it's one thing for them to charge you. It's another thing to then take a ridiculous amount of time just to sign a bit of paper. Michael, my GP won't do the medical note, so I had to use a third-party company, and it took 6 weeks over the Xmas period. Yeah, I've heard some mixed things about private companies. I do still recommend using a private company if you have any issues or you're charged a ridiculous amount by your own GP. Your GP should always be your first port of call, but I would ask them straight up how much and how long. And if they quote you, it could be, you know, a month to 2 months, and it's going to be 150 quid, then maybe look at other alternatives like Medicert or Shotgun Medicals. You should be allowed cap and ball without a license. It's ridiculous. Yeah, funny enough, and there's loads of things that gets me about America, right? But you can build your own black powder pistol. There's kits that you can buy in, you know, in like Cabela's and stuff like that, and it's a little blister pack. It's got all the different components of a black powder pistol, and you can literally buy it off the shelf. No background checks required. Take it home. As long as you're over the age of 18, I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, the issue is, and what they're seeing more and more of an issue is converted firearms. So blank firers or obsolete caliber firearms being converted. So, you know, I'm not saying that a black powder pistol could be easily converted, but it's easier than having nothing. And yeah, like if somebody goes on a rampage or, you know, pulls one of those out of a post office, like, is it really gonna be that scary of an experience? Of course they can still kill. They are a lethal barreled weapon. I don't know. It's sort of like, where do you stop? Right, black powder pistols, okay, unregulate those, but, you know, should then, you know, say over 12 foot-pound air rifles be unlicensed? Of course, I'm probably talking to the wrong crowd there to get a really constructive answer, because you guys are going to go, yes, unlicense everything. But yeah, compared to the Americans, a lot more ridiculous rules. A lot of people talking about ammunition, which of course is one of the topics. I'll get onto that in a sec. Some people, I might be coming back to these, to Evil Closet Monkey. What are people paying for CCI Minimag? That is one of the things that I wanted to talk about because it is getting a little bit ridiculous. Oh, Daniel, it's a troll page on Facebook, and it's been wild. So it's not actually High Point Firearm. It's not actually High Point Firearms official page. How they haven't been shut down already, I do not know. Maybe High Point are just like, it seems to be working. I mean, it's gone from like nothing to like 12,000 followers already. We'll be looking at those spicy memes in a minute. Ricochet, imagine if the majority of gun owners refused to turn them in all those years ago. Yes, this is maybe a branch of a theory that people do discuss every now and then. You know, and I don't condone it. At the end of the day, lawfully held guns and lawful shooters, you are kept to a higher standard than everybody else, but you can, you have that, we talk about it all the time, that separation. Now hang on a minute, I've jumped through all these hoops, I'm not breaking the law, fuck off, right? I'm doing everything that I meant to. If you're giving me shit because I'm doing something that's incredibly difficult to do, to legally, but I have met the bar of, that burden of, the hoops that you need to jump through, then it just allows us to tell people to fuck off a little bit more. Like, we're not doing anything wrong. As soon as we start doing something wrong, I think that's actually when the anti-gun sentiment, the anti-gunners, will flare up and will have justification to flare up. So yes, in theory, if everybody back in 1997 said nope, not happening, I'm keeping my pistols, like, the police wouldn't be able to put every firearms owner in prison. They wouldn't have the resources to go around every single house and remove every single gun. What would have happened? I don't know. Maybe the bloody military gets called in. It would be an interesting, where that population just goes, nah, not having it, and seeing what the backlash would be. Having said that, law-abiding firearms owner, it gives you some sort of protection in saying, hang on a minute, we are the most law-abiding people within the country. We abide by all the laws. It's the criminals that you need to worry about, not us. As soon as law-abiding gun owners start doing criminal stuff, then it makes the shooting community no different. So a very risky tactic, that one. Trigger discipline level 0. Yeah, that doesn't really look like he really knows his way around a gun. David Kiddle, thanks for joining as always. Whole super fast good shells, who handed that in? It very much, the fact that there's ammunition there and the shotgun, it very much looks like, someone's passed away, and the police have come, with any sort of death, be that someone passing away their sleep or otherwise, and they've probably gone, look, there's guns there, and they've gone, well, of course you can apply for a temporary certificate. There are mechanisms for family members to take possession of those guns short term, but in a lot of cases it may be like, no, I don't want anything to do with it, why don't you just take it with you? Although it'd be interesting to know how the spouse would know where the key was. Yeah, unless the police have just gone and got that angle grinder and just zip. No magwell on the bottom toy. Yep. There was loads of things, like when you start looking at those guns, it's like there's so many things that become obvious very, very quickly. Paul, I don't know why, but I'm getting flashbacks to NI Unius LARPers roaming around with 1022s dressed up in an AK kit. Also, Callum, if you have a dual monitor setup, I have the comments separate or the monitor above. I do. That's literally how I've got it set up. Maybe I need to raise this one up a bit more. That's I've got the the streaming laptop, and I've got the comments laptop, or the whatever YouTube calls it, the YouTube live studio. It's not very studio here. I'm sat in my underwear. Gary, did you get your FAC? No. Stop asking. No FAC. It was one of those things that I think it will be fairly obvious when I do. Like, you don't, but I appreciate the interest. I do. And the support. Like, there's a lot of you guys that give me continuous support around that, and it is very much appreciated. But you will know. Like, trust me, you will know. Either way, you will know. Sounds a bit fucking sinister, that. I mean it in a good way. Either way, either it will be an hour and a half of ranting, or it will be a live stream down the range. Oh no, you can't handle guns on YouTube, can you? Fucking bastards. Gez, a silly law is you need an SGC to possess Section 1, but not Section 2 ammunition, meaning some little... I think was that meant to be scrotum walking around with a shotgun shells in his pocket is not breaking the law. By the breaking the law the way I understand it. No, absolutely not. Section 2 ammunition. So I've never had it fully confirmed, but my understanding is that you require a Section 2 certificate, so a shotgun certificate, in order to buy Section 2 ammunition. Or, at the very least, gun shops are not able to sell you them without a certificate, or they just won't sell you without a certificate. It's never been fully confirmed whether it's a legal thing or it's just a sort of an unwritten policy of gun shops not to sell ammunition to people without the certificate. However, it's not illegal to possess it. So there's numerous scenarios, like, let's say, you are a shooter, you have a certificate, and then you give it all up. You're not required to give back that Section 2 ammunition. You can still have as much of it as you want at home with no certificates or licensing at all. Or, you go to a playground, right, and somebody with a certificate or an instructor gives you the ammunition, right? It's so I believe if there are any restrictions or laws around it, it is purely around the sale of. So if someone gives you a box or a slab or a pallet, then that's absolutely a-okay. And, if you're in possession of it, the police can't do anything. It's not, they would have to absolutely prove that an offence has been committed in you obtaining that ammunition, which would be nigh on impossible. And it's also not an offence to be in possession of it. So, yes, anybody can walk around with Section 2 ammunition in their pocket. It's just not a problem. There's no laws to prevent that. Andy, are you going to the Glock National Championships in Ireland between the 9th and 11th of June? This is a funny one. I was talking to Connors about this earlier. I would absolutely love to. If we can make it work, we will. Previously, we were going to be over in Hungary at CISO, but for a multitude of reasons, the proximity to Ukraine being one of them, we decided not to go to that match. The other big reasons was just time, right? We still properly haven't caught up. It doesn't feel like we've caught up since the US. That was a lot of time sort of out of the business, away from doing everything that needs to be done every single day. And CISO, we were talking probably about another week out of the business. And then, of course, it's not, I don't know, like, get the small violins out if you want, but it's like when you come back from a match from like that, or, because it's like a level 3, level 4 match, it's a big match, lots of stages, and also the travel. You're exhausted. You need some time down. And the issue is, if we have any time off, if we go away for matches or go out to the US, like, the clock doesn't stop. So we can't afford to, like, come back and have a few days off just to recover. We've got to get straight back into the office and catching up on stuff. So we just thought, because of that, and there's we're starting to move into the busy period. People, the weather's lovely. We've got all the matches. It's sort of, getting to the peak of the season. So, we need to be all hands on deck. Having said that, with CISO cancelled, which clashed with the Glock Championships, which, that's why we weren't going to go originally, because we were going to be out in Hungary. With us now not going out to Hungary, and it being a lot easier to fly over to Northern Ireland, a lot quicker, also a lot cheaper, and not having to spend so many days, it becomes more attractive. So it's something that I would absolutely love to do, but I don't know if it's going to be possible for us to do it at the moment. So yeah, we'll see. There's a very long-winded answer to I don't know, but yeah, I don't know, but I will say maybe. I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying yes. But it should be good. It does look like it's going to be a pretty good match. Ryan Bratt, what have I missed? Everything. You didn't get the notifications. Well, make sure you hit that bell icon. Then you get the notifications. I mean, YouTube emails me. As soon as I get off a stream and I fire up the emails, sat there every single time, English Shooting is now streaming, and I'm like, oh really? I didn't know. So it's it's emailing me, but it's not emailing you. Where's the logic in that? But yeah, don't forget, hit that bell notification, because then it will tell you when we start streaming. I know I've been dicking about with the times recently, but it will be 8:30 from now on, so nice and consistent until fly off to America again. But yeah, and don't forget to hit that like button, and also if you're enjoying the stream and you're new and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, so that you'll see other content, other videos, and other live streams. You need to be you need to register it to be able to buy black powder pistol, but there's what friends are for, am I right? I hope you're not talking about illegal stuff in my chat. That's nope, not going to happen. I'm not sure if walking around with them in your pocket would be legal. I don't know what law they would... I honestly don't know what they would do you for. They're not an offensive weapon, right? I mean, unless you throw one at somebody very, very hard. Of course, if they catch you with some cartridges, a metal pipe, a nail, and a hammer, then they could go, hang on a minute, right? Shenanigans are going to be had. But literally just carrying around a shotgun cartridge, right? You could pop one off by the side of your face and be absolutely fine. There's, again, you do more damage with a stone to somebody. I don't know what law they would actually prosecute you under. It's going to raise questions. I'm sure the police will probably try to take it off you, but it's just the same. Unfortunately, I don't have my legal ones to hand, but I do have. I think it's the first time I've actually had it on stream in the flesh. I mean, it's such the English shooting knife that. It's the Benchmade. God, what was it called again? Bug out mini, Benchmade Bug Out Mini in the white and black. If you hadn't noticed, white and black sort of my thing. But so knives, right? You are allowed to carry a knife under a blade under 3 inches or 3.5 inches, and under, let's say, just play it safe, under 3 inches. That's non-locking, right? If you're caught with one, and I say caught, it's some police stops you, absolutely fine. You don't need to give a reason. Somebody stops you with one of those. Why you got that? Well, are you going to do something bad with it? No. I just got it. It's a memento. It's a, I have it here for, in the background, because I've got, of course, I don't have live ammunition. That is the only live bit of ammunition, but I've got cases. You're caught, with that in your street, the street. Okay, that's inert, but I have it as a prop or memento or a background piece or whatever. But you could say, oh yeah, it's just it's a shotgun cartridge from my first time ever shooting clays. Why is it in your pocket? I like looking at it. It's I don't think they'd be able to prosecute you. But interestingly and frustratingly with this, where it's locking, I need a good reason to have it. So with my, because it's got the, what do they call it? Is it the linear locks, or I'm not a knife aficionado. But yeah, it's so light as well. Fuck, I love this little thing. I love how it looks as well. When I saw it in the cabinet, it was like, yes. I would love to be able to carry that as a daily knife, mainly because my new carry everyday knife, CRKT Symmetry, the first time, one of the first times I went to use it, nearly sliced my fucking finger off because it's not locking. That was it. It was at the Northern Shooting Show. We were piercing some of the blankets to cover the stock, and there was quite some resistance. So I'm pressing in, and I pressed a bit in the wrong direction. It folded up, swung round, and nearly took the tip of my finger off. So yeah, our knife laws actually make it more a risk of you stabbing yourself, which is brilliant. But yeah, I mean, I've thought about this. Traveling to and from work, I would have justification because I could say, well, it's a tool. I have it at home if I need a locking knife at home, but I also take it into work in case I need a locking knife at work. But it's sort of like, with me, I'm not going to take the risk because that's going to be stopped with a locking knife. Yeah, I'll add that one to the list. So yeah, but that's it's been at home for the last couple of weeks because it's like when I'm at work, I don't want to use it for work stuff, like opening boxes or like cutting bubble wrap or shit like that. Like, it's a nice knife. I don't want to bugger it. But anyway, yeah, just like carrying a non-locking sub 3-inch blade knife, being stopped with a shotgun cartridge, I don't really know what they're likely to do. Adam, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well yourself. So next, I had a bit of a blank then. I end up just reading your little conversations that you're having. Ryan, don't worry, they made Callum look feminine. We've all been bleaching our eyes. What? The locking thing with knives really winds me up. I've sliced myself badly twice. Wouldn't have happened with a locking one though. Length limits, fair enough, I suppose though. Adam, did the knife murders go up over there in the UK after handguns were banned? No, because all the criminals kept their handguns, so they just kept using them. Because banning it wasn't okay. It was a legal gun owner that went into did Dunblane, but in terms of crime and let's say non-outlying mass shootings, it wasn't law-abiding criminal. Law-abiding criminal. I sound like the NCA. It wasn't law-abiding gun owners going out robbing and killing people with their legally held handguns. So knife crime didn't necessarily go up because the criminals still crimmed. It was already illegal for them to have the guns. Just because they were no longer under Section 1 and allowed for sporting use didn't mean that the criminals suddenly couldn't get hold of them. It was like, we're still going to prison for the same amount of time. It's just if the legal gun owners do it now, they're going to be joining us. So ammo prices, right? Lots of things causing this shortage, and of course it is like basic economics. If there's a shortage of something, the price goes up. But we haven't necessarily seen that in the past with ammunition. Supply issues, yes. Now, of course, we've had, and I finally twigged. It didn't make 100% sense. I knew it was from, it was this having an effect. But obviously, with everything going out in America, the shortages, people panic buying, stockpiling, all this and the other. The American ammunition manufacturers can't keep up with just their domestic orders, so they don't ship to us because they're like UK who, and they're struggling. So there's a massive shortage out there. Now, normally it only takes about 6 months for us to start seeing those shortages, and it was bugging me why it's taken much longer this time, and it's literally because of COVID, because all of those issues out there started during COVID. So Biden became president during COVID. You had all those riots, all the civil unrest. So you had the stockpiling. You get a Democrat in as a president, there's always stockpiling, and then you have civil unrest, there's even more stockpiling. But the reason it then took so long for us to really have an issue over here was because people weren't shooting, right? People like, out in the US, they were stockpiling, but the levels of ammunition that we had here weren't being depleted at a normal rate. People weren't able to go out and buy it to begin with to just make sure that they were up to our limits. We weren't able to go out and shoot it. So people have been sat on a lot of ammunition for a very long time, and I think it's literally only within the last 6 to 12 months where people have really been back at the range, back shooting, back to normal, that suddenly they've now shot through all of that ammunition and people are now going out and replenishing. But because the supply has kicked in from the US, you know, the supply issues there, we now have started to run out here, and now we're seeing the shortage. Of course, there's Ukraine. There were reports that the MOD cleared Bisley out of all of their triple G 7.62 and 5.56. So, you know, that Ukraine isn't helping, and obviously ammunition manufacturers from all over the world are trying to help that out, or help them out as much as possible, fair dues. So we've got this, you know, massive clusterfuck of reasons of why we have a shortage of ammunition. But previously, you know, when like Minimag in the past has has been hard to get hold of, it hasn't rocketed in price. So I don't know. It's only within the last few weeks. So I know some people who are saying, you know, it's 100 quid for Minimag, it's 115 quid, or it's 125 quid. Like, the price of Minimag is now 125 to 135 pounds. Like, pretty much across the board. There's a few shops that maybe have some older stock that haven't sold through it, so they're selling it at some older prices. But I'm gonna try and not eat some humble pie here. So let's just go and have a look. UK, and FYI, like, actually this is, I'll leave this search result up. Like 2.2 is expensive in the States, right? And this is one of the things we were shocked at while we were out there, right? 100 rounds of mini mag is $12. It's $120. Like, okay, you know, the conversion rate and this, that, and the other, but usually when it comes to importing stuff, the price it is in dollars ends up being the price here in pounds, right? So this sort of myth that like ammunition's cheaper out in the US, when it comes to 2.2 or 22, that's just not the case. In a lot of places, we found that Minimag was, well, 2.2 or 22 was more expensive out in the US than it was here, with them being some of the largest manufacturers of 2.2 LR. It's no surprise that we're suddenly seeing it. So let's have a quick look. The first hit on Google, so £12.50 for 100 rounds, so 125 pounds per 1,000. What is Shooting Sports UK selling them for? Okay, a little better. £102. Do they have it in stock? They do have some in stock. How much? This is like genuine great consumer advice, isn't it? Because I'm literally going to end up showing you the cheapest place to go and buy Minimag. Firing Solutions, £125 1,000. So again, I think, you know, looking at it, Shooting Sports UK is probably on an older batch. Firing Solutions is probably on a newer batch on that 125. NSRA, they are out of stock. £110 1,000 for Minimag. Reloading, £110 1,000 for Minimag. So okay, they're £100 1,000, but £125 1,000 for CCI Minimag. It seems to be the new norm, and I remember when I first started shooting, and it was probably, I first started shooting just under 10 years ago, so probably no longer than 7 years ago, you could get Minimag for £75 to £85 1,000. So it's getting on to almost doubling. You know, when I first started, like Minimag was like £60-70 1,000, so it has got to the point where it's doubled from 10 years ago. That's not inflation levels. You know, that's beyond inflation. There's a lot more going on there than just standard price increases. But it seems that this new price of £125 is like, that's jumped. Like 1 minute ago it was like £100-110 seemed to be the normal retail price, and now it's just gone up another 10%. And to add to that, as far as I'm aware, it's going to be at least another 6 months, maybe even 12 months until GMK have another batch of CCI Minimag. So, I mean, if you want to buy some ammunition as an investment, buy some Minimag. We also saw this at the Northern Shooting Show. The amount of people carrying as many boxes of primers that they could out of the show was ridiculous. We saw people running to stands to buy reloading components, mainly primers, and things like small pistol CCI primers. They've like quadrupled in price in a very small period of time, and you know, it's now roughly about £100 per 1,000, I think it is, of small pistol primers, CCI pistol primers. Like Magtech, I think, is still around 40-50 quid and is easier to get hold of, and there's a lot more stock. But you know, the whole point of reloading is to save money, right? If the components start creeping up, it's gonna, well, you're not gonna be able to get hold of the other ammunition that's going up as well. So shit's getting expensive, yo. I think that's the long and the short of it. And is it going to come down? Like, you know, this is like, I think ammunition prices are like fuel prices. Once they go up, that's it, right? That's the new normal. It's like, if people buy it at that new set price because there's a shortage, or you know, whatever, when the shortage stops, so the ammunition manufacturer is going to go, do you know, we should drop it down to 100 quid again. You know, they go, no, people are paying £125 1,000. I think we keep it at that. So yeah, I can't see it, unfortunately, getting any better. What we can only hope is that the supply, maybe it does go back down a little bit, but when the supply picks up, but really we need that supply, and it's going to depend on Ukraine, and it's going to depend on the Americans not stockpiling things to their roofs. And this is the interesting thing about our laws with reloading, is of course we have ammunition limits. We have limits on ammunition that you can buy and store or possess, but it's complete rounds. For those of you that don't know, when you reload, you can buy as much of all the components as you like, as long as you don't have more over your limit of complete rounds. And complete rounds isn't actually a full completed round. I've forgotten what they class of it, but anyway, the only other hurdle that you probably need to get over is the explosives license. So I think it's 10 or 15 kilos of powder that you're allowed to hold without an explosive license. But if you're a firearms owner, if you've got firearms certificate, you should have absolutely no problem getting hold of an explosive certificate, and then you're literally unlimited. You could go and buy a million primers, a million heads, a million cases, a million like kilos of powder, right? And you can have it all in your house. Well, you'd need a very big powder room for all of that, up to current scratch, but you could have enough raw components for 1 million rounds of ammunition, but have 1,000 round limit on your certificate, which is just absolutely bonkers in my mind. I really think, I mean, the whole thing, the whole limits on ammunition just should be scrapped, especially when there's nothing on raw components, right? So this is why people that are looking ahead and going, shit is going to get really hard to get hold of. Even if you have no interest in home load, right? You know, you're baller enough that you're just like, I don't need to save the money, I'll just buy factory stuff, right? Good for you. But a lot of people are going, well, hang on a minute, even if I can afford the factory stuff, I'm probably not going to be able to buy it. we can't buy or stockpile or stock up over our limits. So the only thing I can do is buy ammunition components. So I think there's been this huge movement within the UK, or certainly a pickup in people moving over to home loading and reloading to make sure that they can keep all the components and they have enough ammunition for the next year or two to get over this hump. But primers, you know, a lot of people, and it was funny, we were talking to a number of dealers, so people that were selling primers, and they were saying like, look, we're not making that much money on them. Like people, like they said, routinely people would come up and go, oh, how much for these primers? They would give them a figure and they'd go, Jesus Christ, like how much? They go, you're price gouging, and they're like, do you want them or do you not? No, I'll have them, but fuck you. You know, so they were still buying them at these like. I think inflated prices is probably wrong, because I really don't think the dealers are, you know, cashing in. I think the dealers are having to charge what they're having to charge, because that's what, you know, they're having to pay what they're having to pay on trade. So it only, you know, and there is no money in ammunition. There really isn't. It's like the only way to make money from ammunition is sheer volume. That's really the only way to do it, and that has its own complications. Gareth, try the Spyderco UKPK for legal carry. No lock, but the handle and blade design means it can't close on your fingers. Let me have a look. I do have a pretty big affinity now to CRKT for my daily. I carried the Journeyer for like 3 or 4 years. Love that little thing, and I didn't need to replace it. I probably needed to sharpen it, but certainly didn't need to replace it. It was an absolutely fantastic little knife, and I still chuck it in my pocket. I just fancied something new. Like, you know, it was one of these, I don't need one, but I want one. So let's have a look at this. UK. This doesn't seem to, Google doesn't seem to be Googling very hard. And it's UKPK, did you say? Not. Oh, UK penknife. Is that what you meant? Let's bring you guys in on this. FYI, Henny Haynes, if you're interested in a knife shop in the UK, hit them up. I've bought a load of stuff off of them in the past, mainly presents. I don't think I've actually ever bought a knife for myself off of them, but they are a great UK-based shop. So how does that not shut on your fingers? Is it because you put your see, the Journeyer has something like that, but not but the Symmetry doesn't. I'll bring up the Symmetry in a second and show you guys. Actually, I'll just do that now. CRKT Symmetry. It's on Henny Haynes as well, but I did not pay that much for it. I think we paid like something like $30. It was something silly. So this is what I have at the moment, and as you can see, they don't have that little shelf, so there's no real way of stopping it from doing that. Whereas I guess this Spyderco, you can sort of put your finger on the back and front of the blade and sort of brace it. I guess that's what you mean. I might, you know, just for science, just for research, might have to pick one of those up. And Spyderco, I've, you know, like Benchmade was on the list. I wanted to own a Benchmade knife, and I wanted a Benchmade knife. Spyderco also is like one of those. I just want to have one. You know, I'm becoming a bit of a knife snob. yeah, thank you for potentially spending more of my money. But no, appreciate the heads up on that. David Kiddle, Aguila Red is the same as Minimag coated RRP 75 per 1,000. So many people are talking about Aguila, and including one of the biggest and long-term advocates for Aguila has been Otto at Cotswold Classic Arms. Now, I'm not saying that everybody else that's talking about it I discredit, but I had heard mixed things about it. I guess it just depends on exactly what type that you go for, but I don't know. We're gonna get some in. I was meant to pick some up at the Northern Shooting Show to trial or to test, but we are gonna try a number of different ammunition. We ended up picking up some SK, I think it was, because we were at had the bit of goss, or little bit of an update in some regards. We were actually at Lambradix yesterday at the Pro Shoot range, and we Connors needed to pick up some slug for the match, shotgun match that's this weekend coming, or is it next weekend? Anyway, some point. And he had some SK, and he was talking about it. Apparently his members were getting like stupendous groups at 100 yards, so we thought we'd get some of that. We're going to try some Ely Action Plus as well, and I think Aguila would be a good one to test, just to compare against Minimag. And like, I've been using Minimag sort of blindly for like 10 years because I've never had an issue with it. It's always been fantastic ammunition. There have been some batches now and then where, you'll get a few more primer issues with it, but it's 2-2 at the end of the day. Like, it happens with all the ammunition manufacturers, but overall I've always had a great experience with CCI. With it getting harder to get hold of, with it getting so expensive, we want to try others. So yeah, Aguila is on the list, but you're certainly not the first to recommend it. Blaser isn't particularly good stuff. I mean, for most people, like, people use it. It's like, but I think you will get more inconsistencies with it, and that can really cost when we're talking matches. Fiocchi, CCI standard £9 per 100. I mean, when that's more expensive than what Minimag was a couple of years ago. It's absolutely ridiculous. Seek Outdoors, for the sake of comparison, I pay $30 for a box of 50 rounds of 38 and $380 for a range day. I'd like to shoot every weekend, but that's $65 each time. The self-defense stuff here is $50 to $60 for 20 rounds. Ridiculous. Peter, hi Callum, good to see you at the Northern Shooting Show. It was me who said hello outside the halls. Well, thanks for saying hello. There was a lot of you guys that stopped and said hello to me, and I do appreciate it. Again, I don't bite unless you ask me to. We didn't have time, Daniel. Didn't come by and see me rude. What do you mean by that statement? Are you is that at me? Is that aimed at me? What statement? We genuinely didn't have time. So the reason we needed to go to Lambradix for, we needed to go to see Brian, more importantly, the guy that owns it, so that Connors could, first of all, he's one of our dealers, and Connors needed the slug. But the real reason that we were near Lambradix, and we weren't near Cardiff. We were a good hour away from Cardiff, Daniel, before you get your knickers in a twist. But the real reason we were up there, let's get the best photo for it. Why has it taken it upside down? I'll just a general re. let's reorientate that. So anybody want to take a guess what that is? Come on, focus. You can do it. Go on, wanna take a guess? Wanna take a guess? Go on. A lot of you continue to ask about it. This has to be the second most asked question next to do I have my FAC? To which the answer is still no. And again, I'll give you the other piece of the puzzle. So I mean, HEPI, yeah, injection mold, but of what? Of course, like most of you know the fucking answer. No, at Gez, I deleted his comments. Would have made time to visit you guys. No, and don't get me wrong, Daniel. You crossed our minds 100%. So it wasn't meant to be a particularly long day, but we were at the injection molders till about 4 o'clock. Then we went straight to Lambradich, and we were there until 7. And bearing in mind it's a 2.5, 3 hour drive for us, and we'd been up since I picked Connors up, I think 8 o'clock in the morning, which isn't particularly early, but it's still early morning. And we just wanted to get back. So I'm sorry, Daniel. Next, we may be up at the injection molders next week, so I will let you know. Sugar plum. Daniel, yes, that is the tool for the Magload 2.2 mag. Now, so the reason we went up there is because it was the first off of the production run. The tool is perfect. The design is perfect. There are a couple of tweaks. So anyone that's wanting an update on this, there are a couple of tweaks needed to the process. And it's mainly down to shrinkage and warpage. Now, for anybody that, you go, oh my God, they're going to shrink and warp. Like, you're heating plastic to a very high temperature and then it cools. Anything that is heated and then cools has a natural amount of shrinkage or warpage, or it wants to naturally do it. But there are ways of mitigating it. So there's also another fun thing, which is like injection molding. You think is really easy. Like, you make a negative of the part you want to make, squirt some hot plastic into it, and you're done. They actually have to make the molds off size, right? They have to take into account some shrinkage in the part. The same thing happens with 3D printing and other manufacturing processes. Maybe not necessarily machining, but you have to take into account temperature. If you're heating the part up too much, things can expand and contract and all of that. So yes, the design is good. They just need to do a few more tweaks on the manufacturing process of it, the sequence once it comes out of the molds. So we are planning to be up there. They're going to be doing a lot of stuff over the next few days, and we're planning to be up there middle of next week. So at the end of the day, like, we are still chugging for May delivery for any pre-orders, but we are not going to release something if it's not right. And that has always been like umro numo. We're not going to put something out there that is like the main non-movable goal is something that is less reliable or worse than the current mags available on the market. We want it to be at least as good, if not better. And I'm sure for anybody that has been very patiently waiting for the pre-orders, if it means an extra week or two, but you get something that is going to be 100% reliable, then I'm sure you can. I'm sure you'll be happy to wait. Hopefully, please. Your patience is appreciated. It's manufacturing for you. There's been a number of delays with the injection molders. I mean, this still, like, what's the date today? 19th today. So we've still got still got just under 2 weeks, so it's still possible to be sending them everything out by May. If we go up there early next week and they're good and they start smashing them out, we could potentially even have the first parts in the office for assembly by the end of next week or the beginning of the next week. And then once they hit, this is the number one focus at the moment for everyone at Magload. As soon as those parts arrive, we've got all the other parts, but as soon as those shells arrive, the injection molded shells, it's all hands on deck. Every single one of us will be there assembling the mags, and they will be shipped out. So again, really appreciate your patience on it. But as you can see, we're driving up and down to Wales to save time, because normally, like when we developed the Element with it's the same people that make the Element parts for us, they posted them, right? The first ones came off, they posted to them, they were like, well, this is gone, like you need to tweak this, that and the other, and then they would do that, they would send us back some more. Well, for them to post, that loses us a day or two, so we don't want any delays. So we've told them, as soon as you've made those tweaks, let us know, we will drive up to you. So we're doing everything we can to still maintain that May delivery date. Michael, I guess you're heading off, but thanks for watching, appreciate it. Tony, mold tool design, black art, 100%. And Daniel, no, thank you. We will hit you up, and we'll try and make some time for you when we're up there next. But yeah, injection molding is just like, you think it's this really simple thing, like most of manufacturing. We used to have in my previous job, when I was hardware design engineer, we used to have a saying that anybody could make one of something. Comparatively, it's very easy to make one of something. It's almost impossible to make 1,000,000 of something, keeping it in spec. That's where the real dark art comes, is you have the design for manufacture. Well, making one of something is not manufacturing, that's prototyping. There really is an art to manufacturing, and manufacturing high volumes, keeping the consistencies and keeping stuff in spec. And yeah, injection molders, the stuff they do is just absolutely incredible, and that's another reason that we went up there. It's the first time that we'd seen these guys face to face, and they gave us the full tour and show us the capabilities. And it's always really good for us, certainly when I was more of an engineer and designer, it's always interesting knowing what the manufacturer's capabilities are, because you're like, well, I didn't think you could do that, and actually there's like 5 products that we could now send your way because you can do it. So yeah, huge respect for the injection molders. The game industry, another topic for this evening, is in a little bit of turmoil at the moment. So there's been a lot. Now, I'm not a huge game shooter, I've only been a few times, but it is a huge area of shooting sport, well, shooting within the UK. I would probably go as far to say it's certainly where the most money is spent, and it's certainly where the most influential shooters are. The game industry really does steer shooting within the UK, and it certainly has a big influence in general. So it's something that we should definitely be aware of, because there may be other consequences that come off of it, that with for the sports market. But there's been some bird flu breakouts. So it's the H5N1 outbreak in France. This is all, if you want to learn more about the specific outbreak, you can head over to the National Gamekeepers Organization, the NGO, and they talk about all of this virus. And basically they can't send over birds that are infected, right? Because it's going to infect things here. They can't transport them. But the thing that is proving critical, whilst numbers, and they give this update here, that numbers are coming down, that they are reducing and things are getting better, but they really want to start moving the birds over. They really want to start laying them down, and getting them ready for the season ahead this year. The real issue is actually DEFRA. So I think Field Sports Britain had a little bit on this. So at the moment, DEFRA require 90 days for bird flu no movement. And what the game industry is saying is that actually if you stick to this 90 days, because there's bird flu at the moment, so it's like, well, there's no movement, and it's got to be like 90 days from no infections, no flus. And they're saying, if you make us wait another 3 months, you know, we're coming towards the end of May, so what's that, end of June, end of July, end of August. Well, the game season's sort of, when's it? Is it the Glorious 12th? Glorious 11th? I should really, again, I'm not a huge game season UK, and there's loads of different dates, isn't there? So Snipe is the 12th of August. So Partridge is just a bit of I'll bring this up in a sec. What the hell is that? Oh, restaurant rules. Here's a list of game seats. So 12th of August, 1st of September is Partridge, 1st of October is Pheasant. So if then, you know, they want to be laying down the pheasant, they want to be laying down the partridge. Those are the two most shot birds, let's say, during the game season. If they don't lay them until the end of August, like there's going to be no game season. The birds aren't going to have a time to mature, and with costs rising, they're not going to buy in full birds. You know, the real equilibrium point for game estates is like, yes, you can save a shitload of money actually buying in eggs and hatching the chicks, but actually for the most cost effective option is to buy chicks and then to rear those chicks. To buy in full birds to then release, and also you know the gamekeeper needs to be able to teach the birds. They need to be able to direct them. They need to set them and get them used to the land that they're on, to, you know, use food to make sure that they're going to be in the spot that they need them to then be able to drive them. So again, even if you go and buy a load of mature birds and plonk them on the ground, they're just going to fuck off everywhere. They're not going to go where you want them. You're not going to have a game season. So what the campaign is at the moment, and if there are any avid game shooters watching this, then you want to get in touch with your MP. What they want to do and what they're pushing for is that whilst DEFRA has this 90-day rule, the EU requirement is actually 28. So what they're asking is for people to write to their MPs to apply pressure to DEFRA and say, look, why don't we just for this year bring it in line with the EU requirement of 28 days? That way we can still have a game season. Things are still going to be tight. Things are going to still be difficult for the game season going ahead. But if they stick to this 90 days, there's a lot of people saying we just won't have a game season this year. Now, Daniel, yes. No discussions about buffalo, please. Let's not get into that. Let's talk about something. And just to correct, Andy. I mean, you got it wrong, right? We saw you got it right. So it's not a 1522 mag. It is compatible with the 1522, but it is a 2.2 universal AR. Universal AR. It's an 2.2 AR mag. That will work with a whole host of other guns, and it's 32 rounds. Just to be pedantic on that one. But yeah, to talk about something maybe a little lighter than the likes of buffalo is this interesting decision, and it sort of makes sense, this news that volunteer police officers will be armed with taser stun guns. Now, it's very important to note that these aren't PCSOs. So when I first saw that, I was like, well, hang on a minute. Do PCSOs have like the crown exemption? Are they like, how does that legally work? Because they're not police officers. They're not necessarily like sworn in. But volunteer police officers do have the same powers as non-volunteer police officers. So special constables. Now, it might seem a bit like shock and awe. It might surprise you guys. I am fucking okay with police carrying guns and tasers. I think it's more concerning that they think that they need to. Like, is things really getting that bad that every officer needs to be armed? I mean, that's one of the things that a lot of people says is great about the UK with its very low gun crime and this, you know, our police don't need to have guns. No, fuck off. Like, there are unfortunate, unforeseen circumstances that a police officer needs to have a taser or something a little spicier. And I don't want any police officer being put in that position where they need to either prevent the loss of life of somebody else or prevent the loss of their own lives and not have the tools or equipment in order to do so. Very famously, a big example of this was the London Bridge attack, right? Where an officer ended up fending off 2 or 3 machete-wielding terrorists with a baton. He actually got pretty messed up to the point where I think he said he lost sight in one of his eye. I don't think it was permanent, but temporarily. Like during this fight, right? He could barely see the guys, and he managed to fend them off with a baton. Now, in that sort of situation, I think a taser is the absolute minimum that you need. And, you know, I would say there's, again, an argument for saying, well, if they're looking at tasers being brought out to the rest of the police, why not firearms? Why not handguns? And then the counter argument to that is training. A lot of police and maybe say MOD efficiency with firearms leaves a lot to be desired. They're not doing this. It's a well-known thing that a police officer or even somebody in the army can routinely do less shooting than a hobbyist shooter. They are less proficient or maybe less familiar with their guns or firearms than a legal gun owner. So there's always that posed risk of actually, what is the training? Is the training sufficient enough? And is there a potential danger of having more, volunteers out there with a taser? Are they going to use it safely? Are they going to use it correctly? And a lot of people go, oh, it's a taser. What's the worst that can happen? Well, being tased, right? It's not an enjoyable experience, I'm sure. And then, going one step further of start, having more armed police officers, I think, that I would be absolutely okay with. But ultimately, it has to come down to the training. They have to be proficient, not just with their own firearms, but also in sort of situational awareness, in identifying threats, in controlling certain situations, or maybe choosing to act or not act. I know there's a lot of arguments to say that there is, the standard isn't there, but I have the people are seemingly making this a huge deal, and I'm like good, give them all the tools possible to be able to do their job. If you want to talk about the politics of a more dangerous society and more violent crime and gun laws and knife laws and all of that, I think that's a completely separate. That's just because shit's going on doesn't mean that the police should be any less capable of being able to do their job of taking down criminals. And if tasers are one of the tools that's needed, then fine. If it's decided later on that there needs to be more armed police, then fine, right? I ain't got a problem with that. Wyborn IPSC, can I tase you for science? Abso-fucking-lutely not. It's a good job you weren't in Alabama. I almost, because I don't know why I didn't. He did offer us one. No, I know why I didn't, because I would have got tased. So we went to Callaway Ballistics. The video for that is in the works. It will be coming out soon. Went to Callaway Ballistics for the to see the ammunition, and we stood there having a little chat, and he opens up this FedEx box and 4 tasers, like the exact same. I just realised I didn't put up the. Did I put up the article of the BBC? I don't know. Maybe I did. This is the article. Did you see it? I think you might have. I might have turned it off. It's getting late. My mind is going. That was the article. Anyway, so he opens up this FedEx box, and 4 of those tasers fall out. I'm like, what? And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he didn't want them. He was just like, Can you guys take these back with you? And we're like, oh no, we'd love to, but no, we can't. They go, oh, that's a shame. He said, because you could have had one. What I should have said is actually, well, we can probably take. I think tasers are completely unregulated out there, so we could probably have transported it to Kentucky. But no, I had that idea for a split second. And I go, the only reason we're going to transport this to Kentucky is if someone's going to get tased. And I don't like how high or even low the likelihood is. There is a likelihood that someone would be me. So no, Paul. But if you would like to take one for the team in the name of science, I'm sure we can arrange it. 50 likes on stream for me to tase Callum. Oh wait, we're already there. Has to be done. The thing is, I could say 100 likes on stream and I'll let you tase me. But you can't legally in the UK. So, I can caveat it. We get 100 likes on stream, Paul can tase me in the UK. Don't mean shit. The 5 years in prison you'll get. Like, I'd get tased for that. I'd get tased, you'd be laughing. I'm pissing myself on the floor being tased. But yeah, then you're going to have a hefty jail sentence. Happy, those X25s are nasty, the probes are barbed and a bitch to get out. How do you know? But yes, I have seen the videos. I've watched my fair share of Donut Operator. I'm well aware of how nasty those barbs can be, and all the more reason why I wasn't going to take one to Kentucky or let anybody even have the chance to shoot me with one. I am, though, slightly curious to how being tased feels like. Not enough to agree to being tased, though. Matthias, I was in the army for 5 years and we went to the range about twice a year. Yeah, like case in point right there. I've been to the range twice in 1 week. Like, it's, and I'm going tomorrow. So wait, I went on. Oh yeah, that's a sore point. I'll get onto that next. I was at the range on Sunday. I was at a range yesterday. I'll be at a range tomorrow, and I'll be at a range on this this Saturday. And yeah, okay, that's technically 8 days. No, that is 7 days. So in 7 days, I'd have gone to the range 4 times. So double what you're saying, like double what you guys would do. In the TA for about 8 years, and we always did firearms training. Cool, but how much? Like, was it every week, every month? Was it 4 times a week? The non-firing ones are fine. I'm pretty fucking certain they're not fine. It's not like, oh, it's not going to barb me. Zap my testicles. Go for it. Like, fill your boots. Said nobody. So yes, this weekend just gone. 2 secs. Was the Basildon mini rifle level 3. And for those of you that I'm sure you're aware on the channel, I've been enjoying my mini rifle. It's the only, apart from Action Air, the only IPSC discipline in the UK that I can compete unhindered by our laws. And I've been training and getting better, and it really does feel like a jigsaw puzzle. Like, you learn by your mistakes, and you've got to make those mistakes to be able to learn from them. Now, it was a fantastic match all round for the other competitors. And I think they really did listen to the feedback as last year. I think I showed the video on the live stream. If you want to go and check out last year's, it's the Basildon Welsh Southern Championship. If you type that on the channel, it will the Basildon South Championship, Mini Rifle Championship. Just put in Basildon Mini Rifle and the video will probably come up on YouTube. The criticism of last year was that it was like a very gallery match. It was like you go to this position and you shoot all of these really tight targets, and it was all about precision. Like, there was no real very little fast shooting, very little movement across the match. And I think they took on everybody's constructive criticism about it, because everyone went away with a smile on their face last year, and they rolled that in. There was a lot more movement, a lot more quick shooting, so sort of blaggy targets, so arrays of targets you could just and it was going so well. And I was averaging about 90% on the first 4 stages against the the 100% mark, and normally, I've been getting it up. I think the year before was around like the mid 70s, and the last match I think I was around 80, 85. So that's progression. Like, I'm closing the gap. Then the long distance stages. Now, because we shoot with a dot, you are at a slight disadvantage on the longer distance, and I think I shot that about 50-60% of everyone else. That's fine, I'll make it up on the faster stuff with the dot. Then there was the other prone stage. So long story short, I ended up DQing. It's sort of, and I hate this saying, because I think in some ways it condones, or not necessarily encourages, but maybe it sort of reduces the seriousness of it. But what most people said is that it's not a question of if you DQ, it's a question of when. You do the sport long enough, you do enough matches, and bearing in mind I did pretty much every match last year, mini rifle and shotgun, and even I think, in 2020, the one match I think that was in 2020. I've done a lot of level 3s, and this one, it just didn't go my way. And a lot of people asking what happened with it. And it was more of a fuck up on my part than what I thought it initially was. So we shot the 2 long range prone stages back to back, and we only had one 10 round magazine. Now, the reason you use the 10 rounder with a mag load extension, which gives you 17, is because it doesn't rest on the floor. So did the first stage, obviously used that, and then I had to use a 25 rounder. Now, what I thought happened was, as I dropped to the floor, I'd bashed the mag and disrupted maybe the better mag adapter, maybe damaged the magazine, fucked the bolt in some way, and I ended up getting a malfunction. Now, I'm pretty quick at clearing malfunctions, and did my usual routine, cleared it, and then continued to get the jam. And that's when I panicked. And there's the silver lining to all of this, there was a shitload that I ended up learning, which again, more pieces of the puzzle to sort of build up. Hopefully that, the goal is to win, and you've got to work up to it. So I panicked, started racking the gun like crazy, went to drop the magazine because it was a longer, larger, 25 round plus the extension, and it was a reduced muzzle angle because it was over the back of the back. It was anything over the back of the backstop. Just muzzled it over the backstop. Now, I do want to make completely clear that, first of all, in most other disciplines, pointing your muzzle over the backstop is not an issue at all. Actually, if you go to any target rifle matches, most of the time they spend with their rifles over the pointed over the backstop. But IPSC is one of, if not the safest forms of shooting in the world, right? Of any of the disciplines, because of the layers of safety. And it's just like the 4 golden rules. You can't hurt yourself or kill somebody by breaking just one of the rules. But the reason that you treat every rule with the same importance and you never want to break even one of them is because, you know, if you never break one, then you can't break 2 or 3 that leads to somebody getting hurt. And the same thing is in IPSC, and that's why they're so strict with like the muzzle, finger in the trigger, this, that, and the other. Because yes, you can point the muzzle wherever you want, right? If your finger's out the trigger, yeah, pointing it at somebody or over the backstop, this, that, and the other, it's not inherently dangerous. But with your finger on the trigger, that's then where you can slip, you can nudge, and that's when you fire a round over a backstop into an unsafe area or potentially hurt somebody. So, you know, the reason they have a DQ just for putting the muzzle over the backstop is they prevent you from getting anywhere near the point of hurting somebody or something dangerous happening. And it wasn't my day, but learned a lot from it. Buy more 10-round mags. So I did. I think they were delivered yesterday or today. So, you know, and the reason, it was because they shot them back to back. And really, in hindsight, I should have had the McFadden loader after that first prone stage, topped up the 1 10-rounder that I had, and used that. Wouldn't have been an issue. And it wasn't me bashing the bottom of the magazine. I was lent on the magazine as I was shooting it, which was causing the jams. So that's just I know that's really basic stuff and a real like fucking noob thing to do, but when you're it's part of the reason I love IPSC and I love practical shooting, because there are so many different elements to it, and you're trying to focus on all of these elements, and every now and again you'll slip on one, and that was me leaning on the mag, and then in the panic and frustration of trying to clear it, you know, the muzzle went up. And on any other stage of the day, it would have been fine. Well, no, there were other muzzle restrictions, but this was certainly, being prone, one of the tighter. Usually it's 90, 90, 90. So you could raise the muzzle up to like there and you'd be fine. So very disappointed. Not something I want to repeat again, but I'm back on the saddle. This weekend there's a mini rifle match that I'll be going to. I'm hoping to film it and hope to redeem myself. Connors was very disappointed, but yeah, it's sort of part of the game. I don't want to treat it with any less seriousness. At the end of the day, it was it was serious enough to be disqualified from it. What I'm very pleased about in a way as well is that it was incredibly clean cut. You can get in a lot of, I've seen DQs where it's been like marginal and people feel hard done by. They feel like, no, this isn't right, I shouldn't be DQ'd. It was like, yeah, as soon as it was called, I knew what had happened. And yeah, nobody else to blame but myself on that. But it's another piece. I'll learn from it. Don't usually make the same mistakes twice, and we will see where it goes on from there. But the next level 3, I think, is Yevley. Might be, no, it's Yevley, and then it's Wales. Wales should be an incredible match, like it was last year. The date is moving for anybody that signed up. They're saying they're having to move the date about on that one. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. It will be a stunning match. And Yevley, this is one of the first level 3 mini rifle at Yevley, so probably not one to be missed, because they're trying to do everything to build that into a real great range. And so far the matches there have been brilliant. So yeah, we'll be going to those. So hopefully I'll be able to redeem myself on the level 3s going forward. But the frustrating thing for me as well is I really did feel that I was like on track to place, and that the best stages were yet to come. The big long stages and the movement stages is where I usually make the biggest ground. And yeah, it was unfortunately the stages right after I got DQ'd, so I didn't even get to shoot them. But just a note, Mr. Wyborn IPSC or Wyborn A, he did a fantastic fucking job. For those of you that think that Action Air BB gun shooters can't shoot or they can't keep up with the live fire, Mr. Wyborn A came 5th. You bastard. We're not letting him come back again. He just first mini rifle ever, 5th. So, but yeah, no, fair play, Paul. You did a fantastic job, and at least there was somebody there to do the Team Magload proud. Oh no, saying that, like Ben Ducker came 3rd. No, 2nd. Ben Ducker came 2nd. So he did Team Magload proud. He placed, but you were there to pick up the slack for me. But I did still film it. I was still there filming. It was like, well, I had nothing better to do, so there will still be a video coming out. There'll be at least 5 stages, maybe 6 with me in them, but maybe only half of stage 1 will maybe have me. The rest of it isn't so good. I'm also going to talk about, I think for anybody that's into IPSC and getting into competitive shooting, I'd really like to make a video on it. We never show the DQs, and I filmed a fair few of them. Just as a rule, we never show them because, first of all, it does single people out, and it's not an experience that you want to maybe have plastered all over the internet and relive. And also it's about the image of the sport and how safe it is. And I think actually showing some of these DQs and how, compared to other disciplines, how minor the infraction is, where in any other discipline it would be absolutely fine. I think showing that actually could do a lot to show how safe IPSC is and how serious people take safety within it. So yeah, I'm going to talk to the UK PSA about that and the relevant people and see if they would be happy me making a sort of dedicated video on that. Not that I particularly want to relive the DQ and talk about it, but there must be something good that can come out of it. But yeah, why not high enough? Are you guys talking about camera batteries? Because that's not happening. Yeah, 2 secs. Myborn, fair play to you as well. You didn't throw your toys out the pram afterwards like some people do, and you took it really well, and used it as a teaching point. Just for like, what is throwing your toys out the pram going to achieve? It just ends up compounding the issue. But anyway, guys, I am going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me this evening. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Make sure that you're subscribed for future live streams and future videos. I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead. Hopefully some shooting filled week ahead. Next live stream, it will be 8:30 next Thursday, 100%, and that will be the new time from now on. But hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. There will be more videos coming on the channel, just standalone content. But there we go. Thanks for joining. Hope you've enjoyed it, and of course, as always, guys, I hope to see you soon.